Well, Big Daddy Jerome is pumping our bags, baby. After yesterday's speech, the stock market, crypto market took a nice leg up. Not really sure why that happened. We're going to get into that as we go through today's show. Nothing we say is financial advice. Please do your own research when it comes to any buying and selling decisions. Like the stream, subscribe to our channel. Those things are huge for us. We greatly appreciate it. Yesterday, we had the speech from Jerome Powell. And Kevin, the markets responded quite positively, especially the legacy traditional finance markets.
Yeah. I think you and me were talking about this, like how a lot of people felt that his speech was dovish. And I think that caused the dollar to drop a ton. And then, we saw prices and everything shoot up. I didn't see a ton of volume in crypto, but I definitely see the effect that the dollar coming down did have on, other risk assets, traditional markets, crypto. It was interesting.
Yeah, I listened to him talk. I didn't have time to listen to like the full interview, but I listened to his prepared remarks, and it didn't sound like, to me, and take that for what it's worth, it didn't sound overly dovish. Like, it was kind of repeating a lot of the same things as far as we're going to, our decisions are going to be determined based on the data that is available to us that we all see as well around, the CPI, the PPI, jobs reports. So it didn't really change a whole lot for me. We saw the, expectation for a 50 basis point hike continue to be the expected thing. Now, once again, that could change though if we have an unexpectedly hot inflation number, or if the next jobs report comes out and it is very strong and the labor market's still too strong for what the Fed wants to see. So I would say yesterday felt like a really good time to maybe like do some selling if you were bearish long term. Which I'm one of those where I'm just kind of like, I'm not a day trader by any stretch of the imagination. I try to remain as, I'm pretty naturally an optimist, but you kind of like help, bring me down a little bit in a good way and help me with that. So it was an interesting day. I think there's still a bumpy road ahead, but let's get into a little bit more of the crypto side of things, since I know where we like to spend a lot of our time. What have you seen in the market over the last 24 hours since the Powell comments have been digested? It looks like things are down on the day, which isn't too surprising.
Yeah. Again, I think a lot of the pump from yesterday comes from the DXY just dropping significantly. Like, the last time we saw that was the FTX or the CPI collapse after FTX, and the market just pumped. But I'm not seeing tons of volume, like nothing significant where I'd be like, okay, there's tons of buying pressure right here. So again, I think it's just the fact that you need more USD to buy certain assets, like to buy more Bitcoin. It's just going to intrinsically bring the value of risk assets up. And that's probably why we were seeing low volume. I think that's 100% for the pump. But I'm also seeing tons of, for the funding rates, I tend to look at that sometimes. Negative funding rates means that the market is, going short, but potentially it could lead for a short squeeze, but we're not seeing that right now. I think a lot of people are going long, and that might not be the best, solution. That might actually end up hurting them. A lot of the patterns I'm seeing are not significantly bullish. I might see one bullish pattern, but everything else to me remains the same. Macro stays bearish.
Have you seen a lot of these people going long, in the past 24 hours? Has it been longer than that?
Past 24 hours, let's see. Funding rates have been pretty positive for past 7 days or so. So people are definitely long in the market. Again, pretty close to overbought. So not really sure.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what happens with tomorrow's job reports. We're going to get non-farm payrolls. We're going to get the unemployment rate. The expectation is 3.7, and it's a weird time where good news in that number is bad news for the markets. So if we see a number under 3.7, like let's say it comes in at 3.5, 3.4, that's going to tell the Fed that they need to keep tightening potentially harder. If we see a number at like 3.9 or like 4%, that could definitely lead to another rally in the market tomorrow.
Yeah, definitely. It'll be interesting tomorrow, especially with it being the last day in the week for traditional markets. So something to keep an eye on. Again, I don't think much of the market's going to move for crypto, maybe till Sunday. That's usually when volumes come in. Right now, it might just be a slow sideways, maybe a little bit of a pump, but we'll get into it when we get into the charts.
Yeah, for sure. And I've been doing some research into RSI, and I want to talk about that more today because that's a point of contention you and I have had over the last few weeks, and I kind of want to discuss that because
Sure.
I think it's an interesting thing to continue to look at. But I think that maybe like making sure that you understand the context behind it. Because I was like, I've been asking you like, what data goes into that, and so like I went and did some research on my own on that one. Anything on the macro that you want to discuss before we look at the charts?
No, my macro is 100% on the charts. I think the only thing I do want to bring up is we did see the KuCoin APY. A ton of people on Twitter were kind of, surprised by the fact that Bitcoin and Ethereum APY was like over 100%. It's pretty insane.
Yeah.
Like, uh, what could that mean? That potentially could mean that they are facing a liquidity crunch and they just want more coins on the exchange, maybe to take care of things. Uh, I honestly don't know. It's just something definitely to keep in mind if you're going to be making trades or have open trades on certain platforms. Just make sure you're aware of certain things like that because that could potentially be a dagger in your portfolio.
One piece of news I did see from a few hours ago, and don't like panic over this kind of thing. I'm not too sure exactly what it means, but people who I respect are concerned about it, and that is Blackstone limiting investor withdrawals as real estate investment fund after a surge. This is from Whale Chart on Twitter. After a surge in redemption requests from investors pulling cash from private assets. So if we see a liquidity crisis from someone as big as Blackstone, that is definitely concerning.
Yeah, I haven't heard that yet, but yeah, they're a big player. That would be scary if that was the case.
Yeah, this news came out this morning around noon Eastern time, so that's potentially scary. And before we get into the charts, we need to talk about this SBF media tour,
I know.
pity party thing. It's absolutely ridiculous. Like the mainstream media, and I hate to say that because it makes me sound like a whack job, but like these people just giving him a pass, acting like, oh, this poor guy just made one little mistake that happened to cost billions of dollars. Like it's so fucked up. I cannot stand it.
I know it's disgusting. I'm honestly, I won't say hate, but I've kind of like rejected SBF for months. Again, just how many liquidations you would see on FTX, and this whole thing now where they're just pretty much they're patronizing him or they're making him look like he's a saint that just fell on hard times. It's pretty insane.
Well, they're patronizing all of us and everyone who lost money in this absolute clusterfuck.
Yeah, and the interviews that I'm seeing are just insane. Like this kid has absolutely no idea what he's talking about, and either he's playing dumb or he actually is dumb and just doesn't know what's going on. And I don't know, man. It's such a wild story. I don't care enough about it just because it's ultimately going to distract you from like important things in the market. But I don't know this. I don't know if he's like competent enough to pull this off. I don't know if there was people behind the scenes. I think he's just no good, but it's insane.
Yeah, between the fact that they were losing even while cheating and how he comes off in these interviews, it's like, was he really in charge of all that? Like, what exactly is going on here? But I think the bigger problem for me comes into how, number one, is all this positive coverage and all these stories from the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal. Is this because they're like bought and paid for, or is this just because of the incompetency in journalism when it comes to crypto? Like I've heard a lot of people talking like, well, a lot of these bigger publications, these people don't know anything about crypto. They're used to covering like the Apple earnings calls and, focusing on the traditional financial markets. And so they just get like little snippets of crypto stuff here and there. And then they have to throw that into an article that then gets published to millions of people.
I mean, I honestly, they really don't know what's going on in the markets at all. I mean, it's
Yeah.
pretty evident even before SBF. But I don't know, man. I would not. I mean, I remember when Bernie Madoff went away. Remember when they went after that dude? Like,
Oh, yeah.
covered. He was the most hated dude in America for like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
This kid, I don't know if it's just because they like the fact that he's, I don't know, they just like his image or whatever it is. But yeah, they're painting him in like a Rembrandt painting, just super nice.
And with good old Bernie, not that what he did wasn't awful, because it was, but SBF impacted even more people. Like
Exactly.
Bernie Madoff, I want to say it impacted like 40,000 people, which is a lot of people. Don't get me wrong, and they lost a lot of money. But the number of people that have been impacted by SBF is orders of magnitude greater. Like it's so ridiculous, and I think it does show that like we need to continue to have better reporting in the crypto world out there, which just
Mario.
is more motivation for dear God, more motivation for us to continue to try to spread as much good information as we can. So let's move away from that. And Kevin O'Leary can also just piss off. Like,
I mean, that's just getting worse. He's just putting his foot in his mouth, and it's insane. I even saw that he tried to raise the money to save it from the collapse.
Yeah,
why would you?
He almost raised like $8 billion. Like Mr. Wonderful, my ass. Like that guy is just an absolute dumpster fire. So, all right, enough of that negativity. Let's move into the charts, which, based on how they're looking, may or may not provide some positivity here. But let's get into that.
Cool. Let me just open this up. We're going to look at DXY, my favorite. So let's see. Pull that up. There we go. Sweet. So we're looking at the DXY, and right now this is the daily. Oh, let me pull this chart up. We see the hit that we took right here. That was, Powell's speech came out, shot right through this line of support they were talking about at $105.69. And as I was doing the show notes last night, this wasn't here. This was considerably higher. Let's see. Yeah. Last night I was writing them right here, but I said that 104.72 would offer pretty good support if it broke this trend line, and it did. And that's currently where we're sitting right now. We're trading sideways. We're also going in this kind of like descending pattern, which with the stochastic RSI being oversold on the hourly, 2 hourly, 3 hourly, and 4 hourly. That's pretty good momentum to the upside, in my opinion. I don't know how long lasting it'll be, but I wouldn't be surprised if we hit this and retest it. And we're still holding strong right here. Now, the daily still looks like it has a ton to come down. We'll see if tonight that close brings it way down low, or if it brings it at least into the midpoint. But if we could trade sideways for the next few days, the dollar stays strong, then I would be surprised by a reversal. Again, we're expecting, I'm expecting something to affect this to cause to shoot up, as we are extremely oversold on the weekly. So let's see. We could do, just the CPI or PPI or anything like that could potentially just cause it to engulf this bearish candle and just shoot right back up. So it's a matter of just the news. The news has been moving the dollar more than anything. Technically, it's still strong in my opinion. Just we need to see that momentum to the upside.
So if we continue to see positive news, let's say we get a good unemployment rate tomorrow, we get good inflation numbers. Do you think that we're going to continue to see the DXY push down further, or do you think that there's something in there that's going to cause it to push back up even with positive news?
Positive news has been killing the dollar right now. It's past 2 times it's tanked it absolutely. It's not even like drops a little bit. It pretty much goes down. Let me just pull this up. We're going. Let's go to the daily. Yesterday or today, that's 1.1%, but in the past 2 days we're about 2.3%, which is a lot for the dollar. So I think good news against inflation is bad news for the dollar. Ultimately, I still think that there is some pump or some reversal, but again, it really depends on what news we're going to be getting soon.
Yeah, and that was where I started looking at RSI in regards to, it being a momentum indicator, because I think it's very easy to get trapped looking at it purely in this kind of like up and down pattern. And I don't know if it's maybe my understanding of it or if it's the way it's displayed on here. But when I've been looking into it, it seems to me like there's too much of a, and maybe also this could be the fact that it's been such a strange market, I guess you could say, from a lower volume amount, but just it seems like there isn't enough. How do I say this without sounding like a total idiot? It just seems like it's been too linear. Like it's been too linear up and too linear down, and that a lot of these, the RSI that I'm looking at and how it's calculated and getting into, the average gain, average loss, the actual equation that behind the RSI would lead me to believe that it should be a little more chop in that line as opposed to just straight up, straight down. So that's where my confusion is there.
Are you looking at the RSI or the stochastic RSI?
I might just be looking at RSI. So maybe there's a difference in how that's calculated.
Yeah. So the RSI is like the relative strength index, and stochastic RSI is more of like price momentum, like the momentum behind the price.
Yeah.
I don't really use RSI unless I'm looking at a macro standpoint, because it just moves with like bearish or bullish divergences, which could potentially show like back in December, or even April. April is probably a better example, where we're seeing bearish divergence between the charts, where the price action was going one way, where all the stochastic, or my bad, I don't even use it that often, the RSI was going another way. So that gave you kind of an indication. Again, I use volume as well. But stochastic RSI is pretty much price momentum based on hourly, whatever time frame close.
Yeah.
I looked at the equation too. I'm not a math guy at all. I don't know what the hell, how to calculate this stuff without just looking at it. But again, it's not by any means going to tell you where the price is going. It's just going to show like where the momentum behind the price is. So maybe people are buying too much, so there's a good chance that it's likely going to come down. Again, I use that with funding rates, stuff like that. Yeah. It's a better gauge of seeing where the price will eventually go.
Okay. Yeah, and this is, once again, like, this is just me trying to learn. I'm kind of learning from you as we go along, so I'm trying to figure, improve my process and kind of learn in this as well. So let's
huh? I don't have all the answers either. I wish I did.
I think we all wish we did. But let's move into are you all good with DXY? Do you want to head into crypto now?
Let's go to Bitcoin.
Okay.
All right. So right now, I'm just going to pull this up on the daily. We're extremely overbought if we look at the stochastic RSI. We came down. We hit this upper trend line here. That was at 17. Let's see what the high of that was. That was at 17,249. And then today we hit 17,324 before we got rejected from that upper trend line. And currently right now we're sitting on, what is that? That is the 20 EMA. So we're finding a little bit of support right along here. Let me go into the 4-hour chart because that might give us a better indication. So if we look at the 4-hour chart, it's coming down nicely with the stochastic RSI. So the price is not moving too much, but the momentum is coming down, which tells me that we'll probably find support somewhere around one of these estimated moving averages, whether it's the 20 or if it's the, let's see, this one, that's the 100, I think. Yeah. So right around here, 16,847 to somewhere in the 16.8s, I would say we might find a little bit of support. And as I was saying, I say this all the time, but we're trading in what is a bear flag. That means the pole comes down here, and then we trade up, and we see this this flag kind of shoot up. And when I zoom in on the 4-hourly, we are seeing a little bit of a flag right here. So I would anticipate the price to test this one more time. The 17.5 was one area I was expecting it to go to, then you see a ton of selling pressure coming. But if this stochastic RSI comes down enough, we trade sideways for a little bit, and then we see one last pump. We got a few more days until the weekly close. We might see that level of trigger, and then we just see a ton of selling pressure, and that brings us down. So that's one thing I'm keeping an eye on with Bitcoin.
Do you have a number that you're targeting on the weekly close that'll kind of lead you to believe the directionally, heading into next week?
Yeah, so I would typically like to see this wick up to the 17.5 level, but not close, like just get rejected hard. And then as long as it trades somewhere in this this bear flag, anywhere between here or even closer down here to like 16.5 to maybe where we currently are, about 16.9, that would give me a good indication that since we got rejected from that and we're pretty overbought in the daily, there's a good chance that we could see enough price action within the next week where we just break out of this channel and then potentially come down. These channels have been holding super strong over the past few weeks. So the fact that it's not going above it and we're trading in what is historically bearish continuation patterns, I expect this thing to come down. But anywhere, as long as I see that rejection from the upper trend line, I'd be fairly confident that the price is going to come down over the next few weeks.
Okay. Let's move into ETH next.
Wonderful. Again, ETH doing something very similar, trading in this pattern. This is on the daily. Let me look at the 4 hourly. As you can see, before I have to go to that, but on the daily again, super overbought on the stochastic RSI. Momentum is, people are buying. I don't know. We see the low volume down here, and the price keeps going up. So that's something to keep an eye on. But let's go to the 4 hourly. And again, I'm going with the 4 hourly because if it does shoot up to this level up here, same with Bitcoin, it's not going to be on the daily. We're going to see probably just a fast wick up. And so with the smaller time frames like the hourly, the 2 hourly, and then 3 hourly is obviously there. And then the 4 hourly just needs to come down here. All those are pretty oversold and price doesn't move too much. I'd anticipate one last push up, especially if people are, let's see, if we do see funding rates change, then obviously we might see a little bit of a short squeeze, but I don't have confidence in that. I think it'll just shoot up one more time and then might get rejected.
So Ace says what's good, and to that I would say Kevin would tell you not the charts.
Yeah, there's not much in the charts that are making me confident and going long at the moment, personally. Not financial advice, but
do you still have your? I know you opened some shorts the other day. Are those still open?
Those are just spot sells. Like I just sold that. Again, it shot up way more than I expected. We were pretty overbought, but again, with the dollar coming down, just the intrinsic value of the assets goes straight up. So not too concerned. I still see the macro. Oh, you know what? After this, I'm going to go back to Bitcoin because there is something that some traders out on YouTube and Twitter pointed out, and I think this is actually super important. So let's just finish up with ETH. Okay. Right here, this level seems pretty much like resistance to me. It's like 1338. Let's see how much of a percentage we need to shoot up to get to that. 4%, 2% per day. Just get there before the weekly end, weekly close, wick down. Doesn't even have to hit this line. If we just hit the upper trend line here and then we just get rejected with the daily, I'd anticipate us to come pretty much down. And if we break out of this trend line, then we just know that we're going to have to find support somewhere. Might backtest it, but there's a good chance that we're just going to come down to 1083 in the next few weeks. If that breaks, going down to the June lows, and then we'll just see if that does anything for us. Otherwise, we're going to lower lows.
Ace, I think that's probably a pretty smart way to be handling this market right now. Just curious, you can tell us in the comments, like when you do deploy, are you looking at, are you more of a traditional finance guy? Are you looking at crypto? And if so, like what tokens? Would love to hear your input there.
Definitely.
Okay.
All right, let's go back to Bitcoin real quick. So if we look in the weekly, there's one thing that a lot of traders, pattern traders or just traditional traders look at, and we're looking at this 200 EMA, and we're looking at this orange line and this purple line. This purple line is the 200 EMA. This orange line.
Can you make that a little bit? Can you make those a little bit more bold?
Let me see if I can do that.
Is that possible?
It's got to be somewhere. So I'm going to make this one yellow.
Okay.
That's about the best I can do.
Okay, so, no worries.
Orange and yellow. Here, I think I got this. So this one and this one right here. So whenever the 50 comes below the 200, that's usually a bearish sign. That's it's considered a death cross, and a lot of people tend to freak out and sell.
Is the purple one the 50 and the yellow the 200?
So the yellow one is now, I changed the color of it. That is the 200, and the orange one that's right here where the cursor's over, that's going to be your
50.
Your 50. Yeah.
So if
So
we continue to see that come down, cross the 200, we're pretty much fucked then.
there's a good chance that we're going to get a little bit fucked. But
Okay, cool. Good talk.
Exactly. The thing is, Jason,
Hey Ace, good call with having that capital on the sideline there, buddy.
yeah, definitely. As if prices just doesn't go up and we're just trading sideways or goes down, obviously the 50 is going to move more than the 200. That's just like the Titanic waiting for the iceberg. So it's just one way, just one thing. That's why I love the macro, because you could always tell ahead of time of, hey, what's going on over there, and you could always take the time, do your own research, and then make your own decisions. But that's definitely one indicator that I think a lot of people should be talking about. And I saw it off a YouTube video, and I was like, oh, I didn't even notice that. So grateful for other traders in the space, and something I'm definitely keeping an eye on now.
Is there like a Death Cross sounds awfully ominous. If we go the other direction, is there like a happier name for it?
I think it's called the Golden Cross.
Okay, I would like to order one Golden Cross, please.
I would love that too, but not at the current prices. I want to make sure everyone has the maximum opportunity to get rich.
Okay, what a guy. Okay, cool. Anything else here before we move into some of the other charts? I know we'll probably talk Matic, Link, Cardano.
Go right into it. I'm going to go into Matic. Again, this is, let's see. Yeah, so on the weekly, just look at the stochastic RSI. It's about halfway, so there's definitely some room to the downside. And again, even when it's down here and it's oversold, we could definitely be oversold for a period of time. So we're seeing this right now this is from January to June. Is that January? Yeah. January to June, this was just, everyone selling, leading to the June low. And if we stay oversold, it could be weeks, months. It really depends. But if we look at the daily, we're getting close to overbought. And I think I sent out a tweet, and I was saying that this 94, 95 cent mark would be a good level of resistance. And it looks like we nearly hit it. So it looks like it wicked up and it came back down. Found some support on, what is this? Is that the 200 EMA for Matic? So yeah, so it looks like we're probably gonna maybe test it one more time. Bring us to overbought, oversold. It's gonna bring us to overbought, and with the daily being overbought, and we didn't really make much progression in this parallel channel that we've been trading in forever. Like, we barely just came right above it. I mean, daily comes down, that's going below it, and then I don't know if we'll retest it again. We broke back into it. I think we're going to break out of it, and I think we're going to start seeing some of these greater support levels, like 64 cents, maybe 41 cents, and my anticipation, which would be at least a double bottom of the June low.
All right. I currently hold some Matic, but not like a ton, and I would love the opportunity to buy more lower, because I'm still long-term think it's a great play.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I currently hold nothing, so I'd be very eager to buy some at 29 cents. Let's see. Link.
Yeah, right now I'm like trying to figure out how I can like donate blood or whatever to get extra cash just to plasma. Yeah, there we go.
You can also have kids all around.
Well, I do have kids. That just costs money, but that's neither here nor there. All right, let's move on.
All right, let's see. Link, very similar to Matic. Again, trading in that parallel channel, broke up above it. We're overbought currently. This line right here, this purple line, I'm going to make this a different color so everyone can see it. Let's make it green. There we go. This green line here. This is my resistance level. This is what I anticipate us to hit and then get rejected from. If we look at the 4-hourly for this, we might be able to see a little bit better what we're looking at. Yeah, so 4-hourly has some progression to the upside. And for it to go from where it currently is to that is 3%, maybe even a little bit less, 2.8%. So nothing insane. I mean, we see Bitcoin pump. This will probably follow with it. Rejection from that would be pretty strong, but we'd come back down, being overbought in the daily. I would anticipate us to break this trend line. And since we already retested and broke back into it, and then we broke out of it, this line becomes resistance. And then, we're looking for the next support. Next support again would be this level right around here, 569, if not 534 or 554. So in that range, we'll probably wick down to, and then probably trade sideways or do something in the meantime till we finally go down to the bottom, which I anticipate being somewhere between 450 and like 390. But I don't rule out if that death cross happens and we see a capitulation event, 291, something like that.
Okay. Yeah, and that becomes that's another, back up the truck, in my opinion. I'm interested. Have you heard anything more about when staking is going to go live for Link?
Last thing I heard was December 6th. I could be wrong about that, but I think that was the date that was thrown out there. Again, I am cautious about staking. I think it's more of a buy the rumor, sell the news thing. Like when we saw the merge happen, nothing happened. Traded sideways for a day and then it just dumped. But anytime, I don't know even the staking mechanism, whether it's locked or unlocked. I would hope it would be unlocked, but if it's locked, there's no chance I'm going to be staking any with that.
Okay.
All right. I got Cardano pulled up, and Cardano is this scenario is the one I had from a few days ago. Obviously, I'm going to move this over, but my initial idea was we were going to shoot up to this line right here, this mint colored line, which was 32.95, so 32.95 cents. And we'd hit it, get rejected, and then next thing you know, we'd be coming down for support. This line, we closed below it, I believe, on the weekly last time. Yep, we've closed below it on the weekly now, twice. Probably will close below it this week. And then on the month, not the monthly. Is the monthly?
Ace, you fit in just fine here because, Ace, we normally, those are the four biggest that we talk about, that and Kevin here's a big Cardano guy. So
I love Cardano
as well.
There's some other projects. There's some other projects there definitely I want to talk about, but these are the main ones. And then hopefully when we start getting some more bullish sentiment, we get to start talking about some other projects that might be good in the future. But for right now, Cardano on the monthly, we close below right here, this major line of support. So I would be interested if we see a wick to that. But over the next few weeks, we start back testing or start falling, losing for that support. And we find that 28 cents would be a good level of support. Do I think it's strong? I don't know. I think that it's a level of support. Let's see if I can find it. I think it was on the weekly. Yeah, it was the weekly. It was this wick right down here. I hate that thing. The wick right down here from January 2021. So I would anticipate we get some support there, maybe bounce up, retest this, and then we fall right through. We go to some of our other levels. But that's what I'm seeing with Cardano. I think it needs to test this level one more time, and then would see that rejection, and it would line up with some of the other, coins that we've just talked about. And I don't anticipate this to happen fast. I just anticipate, over the next few days into the weekly close that we see some of these levels retested. So that's all I got for Cardano. And I do want to bring up Solana just because I am not a fan of Solana, but at the same time, I understand that some people have something invested in it, and I think it's good to talk about it still. So this pattern is one that I saw. This is an ascending, broadening pattern. It's usually a continuation pattern from wherever it came from. So obviously we saw this wick down from like 14.11 cents to 12.82, 12.81 cents. And then we've been trading in this channel, just going back and forth, and we see that it's opening up. Usually this is just a sign that there's no real indication of where this next target is going to be. And then eventually...
Real quick, was that big candle down? Was that FTX news, or what was the date on that?
Yeah, that was actually this is this is recently. This is a shorter time frame, my bad. So this is the 28th. So that was 14 to 12.81. I think FTX was from like $25.
That was like 30 to like 40.
Yeah.
That was like I remember at the worst of it, it was down like 48% on the 24-hour. Like that was crazy.
I think it was like
only reason I bring it up is I'm curious how much these different patterns and stuff are really worth even looking at when it comes to black swan events like that. Like that's just so not predictable, and I don't think carries a whole lot of in my limited understanding, doesn't carry a whole lot of weight when it comes to technical analysis because that's like a once in a lifetime sort of shit show event.
Yeah, well, I mean, again, this FTX just pretty much said screw technicals, and I mean CPI did too. It just screwed the dollar. I mean, there's no real structure to that. Just news comes out, everyone gets screwed. But that's when we form new patterns. And this one right here is just what I'm seeing on the shorter time frame. Not necessarily great. We see that volume is coming down. But again, these are like 4 out of 5 times this breaks to the downside. And if it does, I'd anticipate it to hit this 1241 level. If that doesn't hold, then probably going to test this 1094 again. And then we'll just have to reassess in the next few days, next few weeks, just to see where it is. This thing could be way below that by the next time we check. I have no idea.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Like, I know some people who are like, this could be kind of like the, when you could buy Ethereum for $80 in the last like bad bear market, is Sol in the next bull market going to be the same kind of version of that? I just don't know. Like, I've never been a big Sol guy. It is, some people are like, oh no, it's a good thing that so much of it is owned by one entity that's currently locked up by the government. I'm like, you sure about that? Like, that doesn't seem like the best thing in the world to me.
Yeah.
But it's been that way for a long time too. So who the hell knows?
I just don't think enough people question it too. Like in the bull market, it got away with so much, but so did FTX. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
It's always good to question everything. I think what you said today on the Twitter Spaces about FUD versus genuine concern. This would, in my opinion, lines up more with genuine concern, just because the blackout. All the validators go off. Pretty much the blockchain's useless. It's really just something that I would not expect from one of the top blockchains during the bull market, and we're seeing that it's getting hurt now. And so many people were exposed to that in FTT when the collapse happened. I don't know. Like Solana just seems like one of those cool brands. Like they make really ugly white sneakers, and then did you ever see those?
No,
they're disgusting. But
wasn't there the Solana phone as well? How did that work out?
I don't think it's been released yet, but again, it's just, I don't know. I don't want to talk crap about it all the time, but it's just something that I always keep in mind, because that could honestly hurt not just people who are holding Sol, but a lot of other people who are just in the market. Like something that big just collapses. Obviously, we've seen how much it affects everyone.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else you want to touch on before we wrap it for the day?
No. Hey, I didn't leave the chat this time.
Hey, there we go. Good job, Kev. See, we're getting a little bit better each episode. Gotta love it, man.
I don't have too much to add. I think it's going to be a slow grind up. It could turn instantly. Again, we're overbought on the daily, so there's always that to keep in mind. But I would expect more of the volumes to come in on Sunday, and just look at the macro and then make your decisions off the research you do or the charts that you look at, and don't try and stress it out too much. I'm not stressed at all. Just waiting to see what happens next.
Yep. Next reports come out tomorrow morning, 8:30 a.m. Eastern. As always, we'll see what the unemployment rate is. Once again, if that's numbers, if it's above expectation, that's a good thing for the market. And if it's below, it's a bad thing for the market. So, we're in a very weird place right now where every little report is moving the market. And there's also so many unknowns. And there's still all of these, like, we don't know what other contagions we're going to see, right? Like,
yeah,
there hasn't been any update from Genesis over the last week or so. Like, that could definitely be another big hit if it comes in. I still have, fortunately, some money locked up, so that's fun.
I hope it doesn't. It doesn't look good.
No, it does not look good at all. But thankfully, it wasn't like a life-changing amount of money by any stretch of the imagination. Like, if I don't get it, then it's just a write-off on my taxes. So that's going to wrap it for today. Thank you for watching. Please hit that like button. Subscribe to our channel for more crypto and NFT content if you're into that sort of thing. I'll be back tomorrow with Dan to cover the NFT market. And then Kevin and I will be here again on Monday to kind of get everybody ready for next week. So for Kevin, for the team at FLOLiO, I'm Jeremy. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Have a great day, and we will see you next time.
Take care, everyone.